This week's packets focus on elapsed time. And elapsed time is how much time passes from the start to the end of an event. For example, Miss English started work at 8:15 a.m. She worked 3 hours and 33 minutes. When did she stop working? In this problem, I would have to identify my start, elapsed, and end time. Well, it tells me that I started working at 8:15 and that I would make it my start time. If I work for 3 hours and 33 minutes, that's my elapsed time. My question's asking me to find my end time, and that's why I have a box around the time at the end. When we solve elapsed time problems, the easiest way to show it is with timelines and jumping by the largest amount of time given in your elapsed time, which here would have been hours. So let's take a look at this first example problem. It says Jake went to Sean's house at 10 a.m. He left Sean's house at 1:20 p.m. How long was he at Sean's house? So if I go back now and reread it, he went to Sean's house at 10 a.m. That makes 10 a.m. a start time. If he left at 1:20, that makes it my end time. My question of how long was he at Sean's house is asking me to find the elapsed time. So when I set up my timeline here, I'm going to have 10 a.m. at the start, and I'm going to have 1:20 here at my end. Now, I notice that my hours change from 10 to 1. So I'm going to start by doing hour jumps. I'll start from 10 and do a 1 hour jump, which would get me to 11 a.m. I can do another hour jump, which gets me to 12 p.m. And I can do a third hour jump, which gets me to my end hour of 1 in that 1:20. So I no longer want to do any hour jumps. I have 0 minutes here and 1 o'clock, and I need to get to 20 minutes. So I have the flexibility to jump by however many minutes I want. I'm going to jump by 20 minutes to get to my end time of 1:20. Now I need to go back and count up all of my elapsed times jumps together to figure out how long he was there. I did 1, 2, 3 hour jumps and a 20-minute jump. So he was at Sean's house for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Here on the next page, you have a table. Sometimes it will give you the start time, sometimes it will give you the elapsed time, and sometimes it's going to give you the end time. You have to figure out the missing one and fill it in. I'm going to do a few of these examples now. We're going to start with the 1:18 start time and the 5:41 end time. So I'm going to set up a timeline. Start at the beginning, so 1:18 a.m. My elapsed time I don't know, and my end time is 5:41 a.m. Now I have to get from 1 hour to 5 hours. So it would make sense here to do some hour jumps. So I'm going to do 1 hour, and I'm going to label it 1 hour. So if I change it from 1 by 1 hour, it's now 2:18 a.m. Still not at 5, so I'm going to do another hour jump, label it 1 hour. I'm now at 3:18 a.m. because I'm only changing the hours. Again, still not at 5, so I'm going to do another hour, which would get me 1 more hour, 4:18 a.m. And I have to do even another hour jump because now my hour is 5:18 a.m. So I have my hours matching. Now I need to do the minute jumps and have my minutes match to 41. So here I'm going to start with jump to make a friendly number. If I'm at 18, I'm going to do a small 2-minute jump because that will get me to 5:20 a.m. And 20 is a much friendlier number for me to do jumps with and add on to. So if I'm at 20, I could do another jump of 20 minutes because 20 plus 20 gets me to 40. And then I can do a small 1 minute jump at the end to get me to 41. So if I go back now and count, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, and I've done 20, 22, 23 minutes for my elapsed time. So we can fill that in the table as 4 hours and 23 minutes. The next example I'm going to do is a start time of 4:30 a.m. and a elapsed time of 2 hours and 19 minutes. Labeling the parts I know: 4 a.m. at the start, 2 hours, 19 minutes at the elapsed, and the end we don't know. Well, I know my first jump is going to be 1 hour. So I change my 4 now to a 5, and it's 5:30 a.m. I need to do a second hour because my elapsed time is 2, and my hours are now 6:30 a.m. Time for the minutes. 19, I'm going to break it down into 10 and 9 because those are friendlier numbers for me to work with. So I'll do a 10-minute jump, and 10 plus the 30 minutes I already have makes 40. So my time is 6:40. And then I'm going to do a 9-minute jump to get to 19. 40 plus 9 is 49. So my end time is 6:49 a.m. Put that in our end time column. Now, the last one we're going to do together, I don't know my start time. I know my elapsed time and my end time. This one is going to be tricky because I'm going to be counting backwards this time rather than counting forward like we have been. So starting actually at my end time, which sounds funny, I'm going to go backwards my 3 hours. So I'm going to do a backwards jump of 1 hour. Well, 10 take away 1 hour is 9. Take away another hour gets me to 8 because 9 minus 1 is 8. And do another hour jump backwards gets me to 7 a.m. Now, here's where this gets tricky. I need to go backwards minutes. And I know in 7 o'clock, I don't have any minutes. So here is where you're going to have to think about subtraction and ungrouping or borrowing from your hours to make minutes. I know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. So I'm going to take away one of my hours. So 7 take away 1 is 6. And I'm going to put 60 minutes in my minutes place now. I've just traded that 1 hour to be 60 minutes because I need to count backwards 35 minutes. So I'm going to break 35 into 10, 10, 10, and 5. That to me makes sense, and it's going to help me with my jumps. So if I do a small 10-minute jump, 10 minutes before 7 is 6:50 a.m. And that makes sense because 60 minus a 10 is 50. Do another 10. 50 minus 10 is 6:40 a.m. Do another 10 is 6:30 a.m. And then the 5-minute jump gets me to 6:25 a.m. as my start time. So start time can be tricky to find if you're not careful counting backwards. So here in the box for start time, we can say 6:25 a.m.